What's up, y'all? It's me, Axel, and today I'm bringing you the next video in the SLNNN Chronicles. I shouldn't be the one to really have to, talk about this, but I feel like it's important because it's been something I've thought about for a long time. And you might be thinking, well, why should I go with what you have to say? And it is true that I don't have a kid, to be fair. Crap. I don't have a kid. I'm very frequently not in relationships, honestly. And I don't really think about the idea of kids almost at all, really. But there's so many kids with so many problems out there, and I genuinely think parents don't understand why that these problems exist. And it's a shame because I feel like I'm the one that has to tell them, even though I don't know anything about kids in the first place. But I'm going to go ahead and do it anyways. And I'd probably say the first big one that you need to understand before having a kid is understanding the freedom that you're going to lose when you have a kid. It really goes down to understanding your priorities in life. And I'm going to say that prior to having kids, your priority should be your wife. And if it's not your wife, then I guess you're just doing it wrong. And I guarantee you, your wife would probably agree with you. But however, if your priority after having kids is not your kids and it's still your wife, you probably shouldn't have kids. And I'm saying that because that's not the correct mindset to live at. When you have kids, your priority is your kids. That's pretty much it. You lose your sense of freedom in that sense, and your wife should be your second place, but if your kids aren't, then you're doing an injustice to your kids. I'll say that. Another thing is that you shouldn't have kids because you think that they will, help you out when, they're older. Kids will always hold grudges. That's just how they are. If you do one small thing and ruin your relationship with that kid, then you're kind of fucked, and you just lost those 18 years of raising a kid for nothing because they're not going to help you out. So if you want to have a kid so they will eventually, pay for your retirement or whatever, that's also another injustice to that kid, and they're going to live a life trying to, make you happy when even though they're not succeeding, you're still going to give them shit for it. So if you're one of those people, don't have kids, please. It's very important that you don't, and refrain from conceiving with a woman at any cost whatsoever. Another thing is I will just go ahead and say this. If you're not middle class or higher, you should not have kids. I think that if you're in the low class or lower, you shouldn't have kids. And the reason why I say that is because the basic fundamentals for what a kid needs is they need food, they need clothing, they need a house, and they need to be able to get transported to school if they can't take the bus. They also need the parent to be in their life, and if you're low class, you're most likely working all the time. That doesn't give you a lot of time to spend with your child or raise your child, as where if you're in the middle class, you might have a job that's decent enough to, take holiday off for little events or whatever that goes on in your kid's life or whatever. So yes, honestly, if you don't make over a certain amount of money every year, you should not be allowed to have kids. You really shouldn't. And if you do, then you're just being selfish at that point, especially to the kid. Another thing that people should probably figure out in their life when they're about ready to have a kid is if you have depression, you probably shouldn't have a kid. And I say that because if you have depression and you have a kid, who's to say that you're not going to take it out on the one person that's around you the most when you have a kid, right? It's going to be your kid, obviously. They learn from you even at a young age like that. And depression is also, if you're like medically depressed, like if a doctor's diagnosed you with it, there's a good chance that someone down the family line is going to get it too. I do believe that depression is curable. It really just depends on the person itself, I would say. And I do genuinely believe that you can have a kid if you get through your depression, and like anyone can get through their depression. It really just takes time. That's really all it is. Another thing is if you're racist, you probably shouldn't have a kid either. A big problem that we've been dealing with for 500 fucking years is racism, and people really don't know, like, no one has a solution to how to get rid of racism. And honestly, there's not going to be a fix to racism. It's going to forever, exist in our lives throughout the end of time. It sucks, but it just is what it is. One thing we can do to improve upon that is if you're a racist, you probably shouldn't have kids, because if you're a racist, you better believe that the kid is going to, be racist because you're racist, right? That's pretty common sense. And if you can't get rid of that ideology mindset, that means you can't think of the wrong things that you're doing, and you can't get past them that easily without people, telling you. And then I guess I kind of already mentioned it, but the last thing really is understanding your priorities. That's really the biggest thing. You need to understand that when you have a kid, there's nothing more important than your kid. I mean, it's really that simple. And if you disagree with me on that, then you're absolutely in the wrong. And you can talk to me in the comments if you want to, saying, well, my wife's #1. She's like the coolest person in the world. She has huge boobies, and man, like if I don't do this for her, then she's gonna leave me. Well, then you picked the wrong fucking woman, honestly. Because if your woman doesn't prioritize her kids over you, then you're fucking retarded, and you're the one that's losing out. Anyways, that's pretty much all I have to say about this. Really, that's just it. And until the next time, later.